Hi, welcome back to Assume Your Power. My name is Forrest Proctor, and today I want to share with you my 3-step morning meditation that I use to get my day started. A little bit of background about me: I am a business owner. The business I own is a video production company, and it's really just me and 2 other people. And we travel around and shoot commercials and videos for companies, documentaries. We do a handful of weddings a year. So our work requires a lot of focus and a lot of preparation, production, post-production, talking to clients, communicating with people. And so I found that when I do this morning routine, my life it just kind of aligns better. When I skip it, I notice. So without further ado, let's get into this very short 3-step routine. So the first thing that I like to do when I wake up, of course, I have children. I have to take them to school, but as soon as I get back, I have this entire ranch house to myself, is I like to brew some tea. And that basically is just kind of getting me woken up, and I don't know why, but I've gotten away from coffee recently and just got into the yerba mates, teas and different ginger teas and things like that. So I will brew some tea to kind of get prepped for the next step that I'm going to do, and which is the second step. We're going right into the second step. I'll get my tea brewed. I'll bring it over to this big farm table or wherever I feel comfortable. But to me, right here in the dining room at the big farm table is where I come for step two. Step two is probably, I'd say, one of the longer steps. Maybe it's tied with step three, but it's my journaling or scripting. And so I have a journal that I write in every single day, and I have another video about the scripting and the journaling I do. I've researched it a ton. I've been doing it for about 2 years now consistently, and it has changed my life. And it's kind of wild to go back and read some of my journal entries and some of the dreams and ideas that I had that have, long been fulfilled or manifested, if you will. So I will get my journal out, and you can go watch the video on like the exact, but I'll give you the just kind of short synopsis of kind of my process there. I start with my gratitude. I just feel like as a Christian, that's just something I should do first rather than my needs and wants. So I'll start with gratitude, and weirdly, gratitude used to be like a paragraph, and now it's almost a whole half page. So it's really grown over time. But after the gratitude section, I will go into sort of the imagination section where I am talking about or scripting out like kind of like the ideas that I have and the goals that I want to achieve. And then the last section is kind of an affirmation section, but I call it the I am section. And I will just affirm all the things that I aspire to be as if they already are. So, I'll put like, I am a successful business owner. I am a good husband. I am a leader in my community. I am a positive role model for my children and everyone I come in contact with, or, just stuff like that. And I'll end it there, and I'll just kind of sign it at the bottom with a little amen. And I fill that page up. The other thing that I do a lot of times is on the back of yesterday's page, which would be to my left if you're writing, right? I'll use that for what's called the decision matrix. And if you know who David Baer is, you'll know what that is. If you don't, I would encourage you to look him up. But the decision matrix has really helped me recently, because it's basically a system where you can identify your limiting beliefs, make a new decision, find evidence for it, and it just kind of like releases all of that stuff. So yeah, that's step two. And step two and step three are interconnected, because step three is like my quiet time meditation practice. And that varies, but recently I've been doing it in my hammock, because I have a hammock. I'm looking at it right now out the window. I have a hammock out. Yeah, it's a beautiful little area in my house where there's a fire pit and, these French lights hung up, and, it's like this little garden area, if you will. But I like to get in that hammock because I can lay in it, I can enclose it, I'm like really secluded. I put headphones in, and I do one of a few things. Sometimes I'll listen to a guided meditation. I'm going to try the Joe Dispenza one ones because I do have access to those now. I find his voice to be almost a little jarring, but David Baer's are really, really good. That's kind of been my go-to recently. They're not as specific as Joe Dispenza's, and they're not as long. Maybe that's another reason I like them because I have to get in here and start working and editing. If and I can't use, I can use my whole day for all this, but I try to like block out. This whole thing probably takes me an hour and a half between all the steps, but and then a lot of times too, like I've gotten good at the guided meditation, so I will do my own meditation. Like I'll go to Apple Music and just put on, meditative music at a certain, they all say like 48 hertz or whatever. I'm not really sure. I'm sure there's a lot of science behind that, and you guys can help me with that. But in the comments, tell me what all that means. But I look for kind of like things that I'm going to meditate on, like abundance or peace, things like that. And this all sounds crazy woo woo. I understand that. And I'm from the South in America, like the deep South, like Mississippi. And so I think I'm probably the only person in my town that does this kind of stuff. But it really has helped me a lot. And so, if it works, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's working for me. So, but yeah, I'll do that meditation. With David Baer's, I like his because they're pretty bite-sized. Like he's got 15-minute ones, he's got 20-minute ones, he's got 30-minute ones, and they are guided. So he's speaking, and I like David because he's also from the South, and so like I don't know, I just really relate to his voice, and the audio is very clear, and the music is good. But like I said, a lot of times I'll do my own meditations to the music that I find, and I've also been doing. There's a couple nature trails here in my town, and they're during the day, like when kids are in school and people are at work, there's really nobody on them. And the deeper you go into them, the less people are on them. And there's like all these nice benches and tables and things. And so I get all my work done, and I got an hour or two before I need to pick up the kids. I will go and do sort of a walking meditation to music, and then I'll stop and meditate probably 2 or 3 times. And honestly, if myself 4 or 5 years ago could look at me now, it would be like, this guy has gone crazy. But whenever you start working on the inner work, the outer world it's easier to manage. And I'm going to be just completely honest with you guys. So I'm not going to use fancy words or get all woo woo on you. This is just from my experience. Whenever I am settled and my inner self is fixed, and I'm like, whenever I'm doing that work, right, the outer world just seems to align. First of all, crazy synchronicities happen to me, and I'll tell you about one here in a second that has to do with the journaling. But also, I see the world different. Like I don't get as angry at people. I'm not as reactionary to certain things because I realize that there is this invisible field, I guess, where we all do exist. There's no way to not exist that way. And once you realize that's where kind of the magic happens, the outside world is just there, right? And some people who maybe are just getting into self-help and things like that, that might sound like a bad thing, but it's really not. It makes life so much easier when you realize, that it's a reflection of your inner self. But I'll tell the quick story and then we'll get off of here. But the quick story about the synchronicities and all that good stuff is that, me and my wife, we have an awesome house. I love this house, but it kind of outgrowing it. And so on my vision board, I have put a couple things, like a lot of it's just peace and a lot of it's like travel we want to do. But one of the things is we want to buy land and build a house. And so in my scripting, I have been writing just kind of my vision for that. Like how much land do I want? Like what could I handle? What kind of house do we want? And in there, I put that I want 6.7 acres. And I've written that several days in a row over the course. And sometimes I won't write it, but it's for some reason 6.7 acres has just continued to be the number. And I don't know why. It's not 100, it's not 10, it's not 2 like we sit on now. It's a big, nice open space, 6.7 acres, right? Well, my wife was off of work, and we decided we were just going to kind of go look at some land just for fun, and also just to put ourselves in the position of like already being in alignment with it and receiving it and purchasing it, all that good stuff. And we went to this piece of land, and it's really close to my mom's house. It's right in between where we live now and town, which is like you're still in the country, but you can get to town really quickly. My wife can get to work even faster than she does now. I can get to the soccer fields where I coach and, get to my clients and my kids' school very, very quickly. And it was just, it just, and the neighbors were awesome. I didn't necessarily meet them, but like just all the houses in that surrounding area looked very decent and everything looked nice. And it just, I was like, yeah, this would be perfect. And then I turned to her and I said, hey, how much land is it? She said 6.7 acres. And I immediately was just like, you gotta be kidding me. And that's what you'll discover. Like, I guess I've been on this journey for about 2 years now. And I actually remember when it started. It's in the story for another day, but I remember when it started. And man, the amount of things that have just happened. I mean, it's like magic. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. It's a little weird. When you grow up programmed a certain way, it's very weird. Now, the more you understand the quantum field and I'm a Christian, so this doesn't go against any of my faith at all, because to me, God is infinitely intelligent, and like for us to think that he doesn't have all this stuff like figured out and it's not like a super complex computer system is disrespectful in my opinion. Now to me, there's like a couple fundamental truths that you really have to get on board with if you're a Christian. But like to say that God doesn't have intelligent design and he doesn't, and it's all biblical too. I mean, I could point to a bunch of Bible verses that line right up with the law of attraction community. But yeah, it's just crazy. The 6.7 acre one is not the craziest thing, but man, it is maybe the most specific one. And I'm still keen on getting that land. I'm in talks with a realtor and just the owner and all that good stuff. So crazy, guys. That's my 3-step meditation that I do in the morning practice. And yeah, just keep on assuming your power, and we'll see you later. Have a good day.